I spit for soul searchers, searching for pieces of peace at the bottom of bottles and brown paper bags. Broke-back prophets and sober-thinking drunk men, sharp-caught pushing junkmen, and glazed-eyed old men standing on street corners. I spit. Somewhere in the solitary depths of solitude, I am praying for the fortitude to move forward into a destiny as I've defined it. To move forward into the future that we have hoped for, the future that we vote for. I spit so that the plight of me and mine will be marginalized, never no more. I spit for the doctors who don't heal because they lack patience. And I've grown sick and I am now tired of waiting. So I'll swallow this poetry pill in the hopes that fill these scripts that can move souls from gutters onto higher elevations. I'm starving colds and feeding poetic addictions because minds are hungry, but it seems to be no one in the kitchens. Cooking up soulful words that fill the emptiness food can't subside because there's a starvation from the lack of substance, and this famine is on the rise. You see, I spit for those sisters getting their hair braided by their best friends and their baby daddy's mama kitchens. I even spit this for those sisters getting their hair braided by their best friends and their baby daddy's mama's kitchens because, you know, sometimes on these long rides, the difference between excelling and failing is a thin line. So I'm back up. I'm going to say this one more time. I spit for the sake of those who can't speak these words into microphones. I spit for those who have no longer looked inside themselves and realized that they are far from home. I'm just a poet, nothing more than a vessel. So I'm hoping that these words can test you, touch you somewhere. Because these are not poems, these are prayers. And I bleed requiems. Upon these parchments, I leak just enough of my soul so that you may be able to breathe another breath. To move forward from your own conditions, not allowing yourself to rest upon your current afflictions because this will not last forever. We are all just pawns in the same condition. So that's it right there. All right. So we're going to close out on this piece right here, okay? Because I didn't get a chance to do it yesterday, so I got to do it. Is that cool with y'all, team? Yeah. All right. Is that cool with y'all? All right. Okay. Can y'all give a round of applause for the team so far? Yeah. I'm sorry, I got a little preachy up in that last little joint, and I just felt like doing it for some reason. You know, it was on my heart, so. All right. It was a game of 21. And you see, around where I was from, it was either bowling or knuckling up that was commonly used as a surrogate market to determine your level of manhood. But it was all good if you could manage to be good at just one. And my homeboy Marcus, he was good at both. Just far more proficient at performing. He was as much an athlete as he was a performer. This ball was so fast he cut across the concrete like fish swam in water. Distributed the rock like he was Stockton in the fourth quarter. Peep game like hindsight with 20/20 vision. But without the benefit of ESPN, no one was seeing how that Project Prophet would one day project his street dreams in technicolors like Joseph. Painting frescoes upon the brick walls of tenements that jutted out from the horizons like talons clawing at the sun. And on that day, it was high noon. Blocks away from the court boundaries, symphonies of gunshots would accompany our childhoods like lullabies. And to the rhythm he had learned to cradle this rock like a newborn. And in his palms he held on to these government-grade napkins that held at bathrooms in the back of some shacks that were jam-packed with an element that was destined to lose its value. Depending upon the mood of a Wall Street he never knew. Far away from the jungle gyms and the honey drippers that were sold by candy ladies that set up shops next door to the food and liquors. You see, he played the fence up on these corners. Full court pressing from nights into mornings. Always like to play ball in the freshest Air Jordans until he wore out his soul. But who could blame him for trying to survive? You see, this was a game he was taught and he hustled with pride. Because even though his father wasn't a recent memory, he walked in the only paternal footsteps that he could remember. Ever since the day he watched his old man's game plans backfire, he was forcibly made to retire. So my boy Marcus never took his inheritance lightly. And nightly, I would watch him running the block and racing the clock and avoiding the shot callers that were known to be too liberal with them whistles. But escaping that trap was just one of his issues. You see, his other problem was staying awake in a game of insomniacs. But since he was a made man, he thought he had already mastered that. But I swear to you, on that day, the Sandman had his number. And I never quite figured out how to tell his mother that her eldest boy wasn't going to make it back from that court today. And that last promise that he made was destined to be broken. And that the dishes he had forgotten to wash was going to have to keep on soaking. Until someone can make all this madness make sense now that her baby boy is gone and my best friend has been stolen. They're telling me survivors are supposed to live on in the midst of this absence. But even after all this, the sensation of lost breath still seizes my chest as I'm crossing over the threshold of this now empty room. It's been left me filled by a presence so vicious its aura consumes. It's a painful reminder we can't return to the womb or reclaim our innocence. And we damn sure can't unsee what the eye has already witnessed. You see, he was moments away from crossing over. The prophet of the playground. 10 shells were found on the other side of the fence. He was left defenseless as projectiles pierced his right atrium, left him numb from the waist down, and as them slugs pounded into his chest. That rock left the grip and hit the ground. His soul left his lips and he hit the ground. My boy just got popped and all I did was hit the ground. But there you have it. The hood rites of passage. But so many times before this, Marcus used to tell me how he always saw it. How he, like his father, would never make it to 21.